And he's joining us right now on the River Islands guest line. Matt Williams. Matt, good morning. Joe Spadoni alongside Joe Shasky. Thank you so much for taking time to be with us on this beautiful Thursday here in downtown San Francisco. Let's start right here. It's obviously been a really tough year for the San Francisco Giants. They're 14 games under 500. We got players voicing their concerns through the media. You know, we got a lot of angry fans wondering what's going on with these high-priced players. There's a lot of injuries that are happening. Just give us your overall thoughts on what you've seen from this team. And is there any way that we could salvage this season, even if it doesn't mean making the playoffs?
Well, I mean, I think that's a big question, right? It's a big question for everybody to answer. I think that if you ask the team, have they performed to their capabilities, they probably say no, we don't think so. However, there's a lot of season left, so you know there's experience here. There's guys that understand how to play this game here. You know, Tony's got a fantastic coaching staff with a lot of experience behind him. So there's no reason it can't turn. You know, yesterday's a prime example. Logan went out and did what Logan does. They did enough to win the game, and, you know, there's no reason it couldn't happen again today. So, you know, yeah, I think it makes for good conversation, you know, for you guys and for fans and for people that want to talk about it. But as we sit right now, there's no reason it can't turn.
You know, Matt, I never had a chance to talk to you, and I got to say that I grew up, you were one of my favorite players, you know, and I remember when you came up as a shortstop, and then, you know, you had some struggles, and if memory serves, you were up and down, and then once you finally came back up, it felt like you had figured things out. And you've obviously been a manager, you've been in the game forever, you're a lifer. But when you see a guy like Bryce Eldridge and kind of the development path that he's going through, as someone who's gone through it as a player, has been through it when it comes to being in the managerial side, you know, what are some of your thoughts on Bryce Eldridge and how he's going through his first couple of months in the bigs?
Well, I think he's made real progress. You know, got a chance to see Bryce the last couple of years in spring training, a little bit last year. I think that he's progressing the way he should progress. The question's always been, where's he going to play? And, you know, the fact that when he was a young player in high school, he really didn't play a position. I mean, most folks don't talk about that, right? It's like, yeah, we'll just put him at first base. Well, if he's never played first base, then it's really difficult. You know, we saw the issues with, you know, the newness with Rafi over there, right? It's like, it's not just plug him out there and he'll catch the ball and that's all he needs to do. There's some intricacies in this, right? So he has to learn and he has to develop and he has to, you know, to become a big leaguer, get comfortable, understand the league, understand the pitching, all of the things. So I think he's on the right path. He's 21 years old and he's making his way. He's getting a chance to spend some time and live life in the major leagues, and I think he's getting used to it as we speak. So
what do you make of Casey Schmitt's emergence? I mean, this is a guy you've got familiarity with, and you know, I've seen the way that he's so locked in, just in general. He's laying off all that stuff in the dirt, and I'm just really happy for him, you know. And I mean, I'm sure this is a guy you worked with a lot behind the scenes the last few years.
Yeah. I think Casey's a fantastic player. He's got versatility. We're seeing it now, right? Tony's giving him a chance to stay in the lineup and play a little bit of outfield, play some infield. You know, I think he's versatile. He's got a fantastic attitude. And he's getting a chance to, one, I think he got hot early in the season. So anytime that happens for a player, they become comfortable and they feel good about themselves. And he's just been riding that wave the first couple of months of the season. So I'm happy for him. He works really hard. And he's finally getting a chance to get in there every day and show what he can do.
No, I really appreciate it. We got Matt Williams joining us, Giants legend. You've got like a summer invitational baseball tournament. One of my teams is going to join in, and it's July 17th, which is Father's Day weekend. July 17th through the 19th for 12 and 17U, and then also in June as well, Father's Day weekend. You can sign up. I'm looking at all the different pages, but the one that I see is you can email at athleticedgepetaluma@gmail.com. I'll retweet it and I'll put it out on Instagram. You're now working with a lot of the young people. I know development at the big league level is significantly different than at the youth level, but your overall arching theme about like a fan's attitude on a young player's development and how kind of you see it through a player and a coach's prism for a lot of these young guys, whether it be guys in the big leagues or in high school. I'm coaching right now, and I just, any of your suggestions for the young athletes and the coaches out there?
Well, I appreciate you mentioning it. It was kind of a last minute thing, a little bit of a background. As I retired from the game last year, I thought, well, there's something that I can do here. I'm North Bay, and I thought, there's the one thing I can do is lend my knowledge. Spending 40 years in the major leagues, I lend my knowledge to these young guys. So I started an academy. I started Elevation 9 Academy up here, and it started teaching some younger kids. And what I found is, for no fault of their own, the young guys that are trying to learn this game are kind of pigeonholed into one thing, and that's offense. And, again, that's going to carry you. We just mentioned Bryce, right? We think Bryce Eldridge is going to be a long-time major leaguer. He's got exceptional power, all the things, right? But we always talk about his offense, and that's no different than anybody else. The reality of this whole game that we all love very much is that the team that comes out at the end as the champion, whatever league that is and whatever age group that is a team that's fundamentally sound. That they don't beat themselves. They catch the baseball. They take advantage of balls in the dirt. They take the extra 90 feet, whatever it is, right? And if you can pack some offense around that, then you have a really good chance to win. But my mission at this point is to lend the knowledge that I can to these kids, not only offensively, but defensively, and make them rounded ball players so their coaches can trust them, so they can play on the high school team, hopefully get a college scholarship, and you never know. One day they may become Bryce Eldridge. So
I love that.
So that's the focus that we're doing up here. There's some fantastic athletes in the North Bay. Petaluma especially has a long history of producing major league players. So we're starting our process. It's early. Now we're going to do a tournament. We're going to do a fall league. That's a real player development league. And so, that's my focus and that's my mission as we speak, to give some of these kids a leg up and help them along their way as they continue to love the game and continue to play it.
When I was a kid, there were rumors and stories of you working with your dad with a ping pong paddle to receive balls at third base or maybe it was at shortstop. I don't know where you played at the youth level. And that was the lore that we had always heard. And now I see, all these companies now have the paddle gloves, and clearly Ron Washington has been working with Arise, for example, with the Giants with that paddle glove. I mean, you were doing that, 40, 50 years ago, right?
Yeah, we should have patented it. It's but nowadays all the technology that exists, with regard to the custom gloves the guys wear and all of that, it's out there. But the reality of it is, if we can catch it and we can give ourselves a chance every day, at the major league level, if the infield defense is good with Logan on the mound, you have a really good chance of winning that day. So that's the focus. I teach hitting as well. If there's one thing I do know how to do, it's hit. But it's just lending the knowledge to these kids and giving them a tip or a trick here and there to give them some confidence and let them go and play their games and enjoy the sport.
I think it's a good point. Matt Williams here with us on the River Islands guest line. And I love that we have you on this morning, Matt. And thank you so much for your time, because you have the perspective not only as a big-time player, not only as a big-time manager and a coach. So you've done all the different phases of being a part of a baseball team. And I want to get your thoughts from being a player in this perspective. Matt Chapman recently had some comments with Susan Slusser, the SF Chronicle, just talking about, the fan angle and fans, maybe getting on him a little more this season because he hasn't been producing as much and hearing more boos, right? Him, Adames, Devers obviously making a lot of money and struggling in the early parts of the season. Adames and Devers picking up a little more lately. But, he said the thing that bummed him out the most is when people are calling me to get pushed out of San Francisco. From your playing days, did you ever have a moment or a stretch where you were really hearing it from the fans and it was really affecting you?
Oh, yeah, a lot, especially early on. We have to understand the dynamic of where we're at right now to understand, the frustration, if any, from the fan base. Right? We all get it as pros. We understand that those folks pay their hard-earned money to come watch the team play, and they want to see a winner. That's simple, basic fandom, regardless of sport and regardless of city. The reality of the game is that it ebbs and flows. It's not easy. Arguably, playing baseball is the toughest thing to do in all of sports, right? Now, Mason Miller stands out there for the Padres, and he's closing the game out. And, you're trying to hit 105. That ain't easy, guys. It really isn't. So that being said, I understand it. I understand the fans' frustration. I would tell them this with regard to Matt. I know Matt very well. There is nobody, and I mean nobody, that has the team's best interest at heart in a greater sense than Matt Chapman. He is the ultimate team player. He wants to produce. He wants to be an important part of the team. But nobody is as frustrated as he is. So I get it. It's part of the game and it's part of it. He wants to please the fan base. He wants to please everybody that walks into that stadium and pays their money and grabs their hot dog and their soda. Yeah, he wants to do that. Sometimes it doesn't happen. We are 2 months in, gents. And I would caution that you don't jump off that bandwagon too quickly with regard to Matt Chapman, because he just might, I've seen him do it. He just might take this team on his back for 4 or 5 months and get him back in the race. You never know. So, I understand. Everybody does.
I'm hearing a consistent theme from you, Matt. It's like situational baseball and, the fundamentals. Like, that's kind of been a theme of a lot of the things you're saying. Man, the strikeouts and the inability to adjust with 2 strikes and have an approach, it's baffling from my couch. As someone who's just in the dugout last year, what is it individually? Is it on these guys individually once they get into that batter's box? Or is this a holistic baseball issue at the big league level?
Well, I think the current state of the game today, I think it's an industry-wide scenario, right? The pitchers that toe the rubber, it's not about finesse anymore. Everybody that comes out, when they open that bullpen gate, that dude that's coming in that game is throwing 100. Every one of them. So the game has changed in many, many ways. It's changed that the amount of contact and solid contact that is made during the course of a 9-inning major league game has greatly reduced. And that's industry-wide. So, yes, we look at it internally if you're a part of the team. You look at it team-wise if you're a fan of the team. But I think it's an industry-wide scenario. And I don't see it getting any better, because pitchers are just throwing harder. Analytics and the information is abundant. So the other teams have a real good idea on how to attack a particular guy, and they're being effective doing it. So I think it's industry.
I know.
It's frustrating, right? When you got a guy at third base
Matt.
and you can't get him in. Yeah, man.
It drives me nuts.
I've been that guy, right? I've been the guy that left the guy at third base, right? I've been there. I know what that feels like. I've also been the guy that hit the grand slam to win it, right? So there's these opposite ends of the spectrum that are really, really important to understand and can get extremely frustrating for a fan base and a team.
Yeah.
Because on any given day, you can just leave those guys out there.
Yeah.
Right? And there's not much you can do about it. You try, you're focused, you're ready to play, you've done all your work, and all of the things happen, and it just doesn't work for you.
Yeah.
The very next day, you can walk out there and everything seems to be accurate. Everything works. And so, it's difficult. It's not easy to play this game, but I think that, you get on a hot streak and create some momentum, and it can roll for you very quickly.
I love it. We got Matt Williams, baseball legend. He's got a summer invitational baseball tournament, June 19th through the 21st, 13U to 17U. So if you have a team out there you want to enter, it's in Petaluma, 3-game guarantee. My team's going to be up there, the Flame team. I'm going to send out all the information. Athletic Edge Petaluma at gmail.com is how you can register. Matt, August 12th, 1994. You got 43 home runs. Okay, I'll never forget this. You were gonna break the record if you stayed healthy. I think about this all the time. Is that like one of those woulda, could? I mean, because I feel like it's the most untold story. Everybody talks about the Expos in '94. I'm like, Matt Williams had 43 home runs on August 12th when baseball was canceled. You were gonna break the record in your low top Nikes. Like it just, do you ever think about that?
It was a really interesting time, right? So there's a couple of points that I always like to make because I want to give the full picture of it, right?
Give it to me.
So we ended the season at Wrigley Field that year. The last game played was at Wrigley, and there's a couple of things that I think about with regard to that. One, as a member of the union, I was in full support of what we were doing, right? We felt like we could do a better job. We felt like that we needed to push the game forward in that respect. And it's a really hard decision to make, to say, listen, we're gonna walk away from the sport at this point. It's not a personal thing at that point, right? It is a member of a very strong group that has seen the fruits of the labor as we've gotten to, talking today. That being said, we're on the cusp of another one potentially, right? And that would be detrimental, certainly to the sport, detrimental to the fan bases around the country, to the teams. The other thing that I always think about with regard to that is that everybody forgets about Barry Bonds in that year.
Yeah.
Barry was coming. Barry had 38 at that point. So I don't know if I would have broken it. He might have, though. He might have. Because he was coming hard at that point.
Who was the bigger diva though? Just as a joke, tongue in cheek. Dion, a year later, maybe Strawberry that year, Bonds, like maybe Will the Thrill. I love Will, but Will's an acquired taste for some
personalities right there.
Who was the wilder personality, Matt?
I can tell you that it was fun sitting back and watching all those guys, right? All those different personalities. That was fun. Dion, as an example, never lifted a weight, but he would do 500 sit-ups and 500 push-ups every day. Straw was natural ability personified. Just the sound of the ball coming off his bat at that point was just, I've never heard a sound like that. And then of course Barry, and we all know and love him very much. He is the best player that I've ever seen. So I got a chance to be under the radar, right? And in that time, it was really interesting to me we didn't have the questions about it, right? I didn't sit in the locker room and have somebody come up, a reporter come up and say, hey, what do you think about chasing this record? Nobody talked about it because there was a bigger issue at hand. Are you guys going to continue to play? Are they going to lock you out? What's going to happen here? So nobody really talked about it. So we didn't have to go through it every day. When McGuire and Sosa were doing it, it was the full focus, right? So I mean, we just kind of cruised. We just kind of played. Yes, and yes, the Expos were the team that year for sure. But I don't know. I would have loved to have had the chance, but I was also in full support of what we were trying to accomplish. And at the end of it, through some really hard, difficult times over the next few years, I think it pushed the game forward and made it even more popular at the end of the day.
Did Buster give you a call to maybe come back and coach third?
No. I'm retired, guys. I got other things to do. I'm working with, my youngest client is 6.
Oh.
And he is phenomenal. This kid is playing against 12-year-olds at 6 years old.
Wow.
It's incredible.
Wow.
And so, yeah. So my youngest client's 6. I work all the way through, the high school ages with the kids. Some really good talent, some raw talent, sponges for brains. It's so much fun. Yeah, it's great to work with Chappie and Willie and Casey and all the guys. But this is the sweet spot for sure.
No, that's awesome. You're working with the 6-year-old Mike Trout, it sounds like. So that's awesome. Hey, Matt, really good stuff
I'll see
this
you in
morning.
a couple weeks.
Yeah, let's do it again in the future, man. This is awesome.
Looking forward to it.